Good evening. Happy Friday, everybody. We made it through another week, and welcome to episode number 2 of the Option Engineer video show. I'm not quite sure what we're calling this yet, but we'll develop it as we go along. I'm just trying to help myself and help you guys get better at what we're doing here with options trading, so I'm not so concerned about the title. So, in tonight's episode, we'll go through what we're going to be having our standard format to be, talk about the portfolio performance real quick, do a quick weekly recap, and answer a question that I got from one of the listeners about how the Tastywork platform would work out for a day trader. And he specifically mentioned long stock only in his in what he does with his trading platform. And so I did a little bit of research because I was curious about it. I'm not a day trader myself, but I figured, hey, let's go ahead and take a look at it and see if this would be a good platform for you. And forgive me, I couldn't pronounce the name the way that was written, so I won't be able to give you a shout out directly, but hopefully you're listening or we'll tune in later on, and I hope this question or this research will answer your question. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into tonight's material. All right, so like we said, the purpose of tonight's video is to talk about Tastyworks for day traders. And at my activity, I promise there will be some numbers down here soon, but it just happens to be that not a very active time for me in the markets right now, and we'll talk through that as we get through here. So my portfolio performance, again, no trades were made today, so this is really just theta hopefully doing its job, but it really didn't do a whole lot for me today. My overall portfolio took a little bit of a dip, but I'm going to say it was flat for the day. It's a little bit of volatility increase on some of my positions. Theta was obviously doing its job and decaying away the value of the options, but just not enough to win out overall. So let's go ahead and dive into, before we get into the concept of the day, and let's dive into the platform real quick. So here, I'm going to try to, let's see if I can, if zooming, no, that was the wrong button. So let's go through it real quick. My portfolio looks very similar today as it did yesterday. My portfolio deltas overall are sitting at a negative about 7, let's say. So a rule of thumb that I picked up from Tasty Trade is that if you're looking at overall portfolio delta balancing, really you're okay if you're within and this is not the technical term for it, but if you're within the comma, and that's what I call here. So if you take the last comma of your portfolio value, I'm looking to be plus or minus 10 delta in this value here. So that I think that's 0.1% of the overall portfolio, but I just use the comma rule. It's just easier for me. So right now, nothing. I don't need to force any adjustments. As I look into my portfolio, I'll do what I did, what I'm doing consistently now, is just filtering on which one's closest to my profit target and farthest away from my profit target. Take a quick look at the deltas to see if anything needs to make adjustments. Here, I have not yet reached my, double of risk threshold, so nothing really to worry about here. Wells Fargo, it's just taking its time. These are brand new positions, so it's going to take some time for them to really start showing a realized profit. And then coming down to my winners over in Qualcomm, it's a put spread, so I'm targeting 50%. It's about halfway there, and looking at what I thought was going to come off today, and it moved a little bit against me. My FXE Iron Butterfly. This one I want to take off at a 25% profit, and I was right around 24.5 yesterday, so I hope I'm not going to be kicking myself if this thing continues to go in the wrong direction. But it's sitting right now at 21.1% profit, so it's very close still. Anything can happen over the weekend, so the automatic order is in, as you can see down here. My trade is planned at $1.85, which is at 25% target for those more aggressive delta neutral strategies. All right, so going into the activity page, nothing really to report here today. No orders were filled, so we're just going to go ahead and skip past this section. As you can see, my overall account value is sitting there at 10,290. So almost at the 300 club. I crossed that at some point during the day today, and then it just came right back down to where it was. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on. And let's answer this question for our good friend who asked it. So Tastyworks for day traders. So what do day traders want? And this is me making a little bit of an assumption here. I'm not entirely sure because I've never considered myself a day trader, but just the basics that anybody would want if they're getting into this game is they want the ability to trade. So here there's the pattern day trading rule, and not all brokerages allow you to trade with this access. I'm thinking of one in particular, Robinhood, which is very popular with the younger crowd because it offers offers you $0 commissions to trade, which is great, but it also has to impose several rules to allow their business to run. One of them is that you can't be a pattern day trader. I think that's just because they would never make never make money off of that much activity with zero transaction costs. So along with the ability to do so, keeping those commissions under control, having great executions because you guys are trading all the little blips in the markets, and if you miss it, you miss it. And then also the platform needs to be quick, easy, customizable, and have some good charting. So let's see how Tastywork stacks up to these requirements. So the first one is an easy one, pattern day trading. Again, I'm not a day trader, but I did browse through on their website, and it does show that they have verbiage in here for pattern day trader accounts, specifically around what happens if your margin gets in a bad position, what the margin call rules are for pattern day trading accounts. So to me, that's a check in the box. Obviously, if they have rules behind it, that means they allow it. So I think you're good from the ability to be a day trader with Tastyworks. So let's move on to the next one. As far as commissions, this one is a really nice check in the box. I did spend a little bit of time. I toyed around with Robinhood, and so I did experience that $0 option or a $0 stock trading fee. And so anything that has a dollar sign in front of it is not amazing in my opinion, but I know in the real world, in a real sustainable business, especially for day traders, you're going to expect to incur some cost to do what it is you guys do. So what these guys offer is a $5 for unlimited shares to open, but the kicker, which I don't think anybody else is doing out there, is that all closing trades are $0. It's free to close out your positions. So what that essentially breaks down to is just $2.50 per trade before any additional fees, which is on the next slide. So as I mentioned, no base rates, no confusing tiers, so good. But then they have an entire link for additional fees. So, it makes sense, right? I mean, this is really where they're breaking the mold in the industry by offering commissions like this across the board. So if you go into that link and talk of the other fees to be aware of, and these really aren't that big of a deal, but looking over here across that stock trading fee, it does incur a 0.0008 cent, or I guess it's $0.0008 per share fee. So what that works out to, just making an assumption that you'd be trading 100 share lots, it would be basically 8 cents per 100 shares traded, or 16 cents for a round trip. So in my opinion, that's nothing to be too upset about. Hopefully you're making trades that are clearing well more than that to make it worthwhile. And then also you mentioned that you might be doing long only, but margin rates, if you do go long short, they're really not that bad. There are much worse margin rates than this in the industry. They're not rock bottom. I think the Interactive Brokers still does take the cake on low margin rates, but I'm not the expert in this, so don't take my word for it. But this does, amongst those two slides, these would really be the charges that you'd be looking at for this, for this fee. And then great executions. Now, this is just all about, if you're in to get it in quick and get out quick, you need to have a quick platform that works for you. And the Tastyworks platform, from my perspective, is, they mention it on the show all the time that it's built on this high frequency middleware. And I don't know if that's just marketing jargon, because you still have to go through your own IP, your own internet to get that trade to their middleware. But once it's there, they promise great executions. And from what I've seen, especially using the desktop platform versus the web-based platform, it does seem lightning fast. A couple things to keep in mind though is that this is definitely a very new platform and it's rather bare bones right now. But I'm sure, given the team that's behind it, that they will be continuing to add features over time. And also, they've mentioned several times as they're going through the different segments and walking through the platform, they have a very strong focus on stability before they start clogging the platform with more and more features. So those might be some things to take into account when you're assessing the platform. So now let's actually look at the platform in terms of how customizable it is and the charting capabilities, which I do believe most pattern day traders would rely very heavily on. So let's go ahead and open up the platform. And here we are. So in Tastyworks, let me just maximize this real quick. You know, you look at day traders and they've got monitors all over the place and there's charts and just different customizations all over the place. I don't know if this is going to be able to replicate that same experience, but I also don't know if you would need to. And this is where every trader is different. You have to develop your own style. But here would be something that I could see you use if you are a day trader, is if you had a separate tool to kind of monitor the different markets, check what you want to check. You could use the watch list over here to be able to quickly, with one click, go into the ability to place an order for that ticker symbol. And the quickest way that I found to launch an order, if you want to just buy a stock, let's say we want to quickly order some stock, you click on the symbol, you go right over here to the stock button, and when you go there, you can have it'll default to buying stock, but you can also sell stock. And then from there, you can customize your prices and hit your review and send, and it'll work on the next working day since I'm doing this after hours. But 10 was it normally when you first open up the platform, it will default to 100, a round lot. It's what they call 100 shares of stock. But I did do a little bit of research for this video, and I am aware that if you go into your settings by clicking that little gear over here, these are the settings that are kind of across the platform in different areas. Wherever you see a gear, you can customize that section of the platform's settings. So when you go into it, you've got a few different options here. But if you click over to the stocks option, you can change your default order quantity from 1 to 100 to 200, etc. So if you were just doing a single stock, you could do the default order quantity of 1 and an increment order quantity of 1. But you can also change this around. So let's say we want to customize it and say we want to go up by 12 shares every time, and we want to start out at 50 shares. So by clicking that, let's just go ahead and put a new ticker symbol in there just to show how quickly it would be. I think that's my internet more than anything. Yep. So here we're starting out at 50, like we just said, but if we click the down arrow, now we'll drop down to 25, up to 50, 75. And from there, it could be review and send, and your order would be out there. So I think I'm having a little bit of internet issues. I'll have to research this. That's why my platform's running a little slow, and I think my YouTube stream is not going quite as well. But anyways, this hopefully shows you that you can definitely quickly execute orders in Tastyworks. But again, it may not be the level of customization that you'd want. Also, just to quickly mention, I don't think you can do at this time conditional orders. So for example, that's extended hours, good till canceled. So you can do your market, your limit, your stop market, and your stop limit. Pretty standard order options. But like in Thinkorswim, you could do it one canceled, others, and everything else are blast orders. All those different types of conditions. I don't think they have that here yet. And I think that's because their focus at first is on stability and on options. And some of those different features within day traders is not really the priority for them at this point. But who knows what's to come over time. Other thing I said I'd show you is the charting package. So let's go ahead and clear some of these things away just to make this nice front and center. So when you go into the charting package, I have very bare bones because I wanted to add to this for this video. You get a chart. You can scroll in I use my scroll wheel, and that'll zoom you further in. And you scroll back out, nothing too fancy there. And then on your indicators, you click indicators. You can show your Bollinger Bands and add. And you can customize the colors, the length, things like that. If you want to use, I'm not a huge technical analysis guy. I had a phase, which I quickly got over. I'll add the MACD. I'll add the RSI, Relative Strength Index. There you are. And you can, from there, drag them. I think you can drag them. Might not be able to drag. I know that you can change the order of them. Let's see what happens over here. You can change how much space each indicator takes up on the chart. And again, what's nice about this is once you click anywhere, any symbol you see, it'll change it throughout the entire platform so you can quickly move around. So to me, this looks like a day trader's chart, but not really my forte, so I'm going to let you guys be the judge here. But again, so if you see a setup here you like, let's say you're ready to pull the trigger, you click trade, you go to stock, and you're there at your default order quantity and able to make your adjustments. Review and send, and you're in business. So that's my quick review for potential for potential day traders in Tastyworks. Hope you guys found that helpful. And we are at 16 minutes. I don't want to go too long. I want you guys to get into your weekend and enjoy it. So let's just go ahead and finish up with a little recap. So how does Tastyworks stack up? So just to recap what we talked about, we get the check in the box for the pattern day trading compatibility, check in the box for cheap commissions, a check in the box for great executions. And then I put a couple warning signs here because I think this is really every person is going to have to make up their own decision on if this is good enough for what they need. But their platform customizability, not all the features you want to toss into a technical analysis focused approach, especially in your watch list. You can't quickly screen at this point for MACD crossovers or whatever the case that you might be trading. But it does give you a relatively customizable charting platform. And API access, I didn't talk about it earlier, but I know that a lot of day traders will create their algorithms, do whatever they need to do, and then just want to route their orders through their brokerage. I think that's on the roadmap for Tastyworks, but it's not announced yet. So that would be one where if you're reliant on it, it's not the right time to be considering Tastyworks. All right, so I hope you guys found this helpful, and we'll take this back with you for the weekend and kind of think through what your approach is. Again, I'm not a day trader myself, but I think it's, people are making money with it, so may as well give it the credit it deserves. So to get you guys on to your weekend, the quote of the day, and for the weekend, because I'm not going to record over the weekend, is destiny is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. And this is kind of hokey, but I like it from the perspective of an investor because oftentimes you hear the words, buy and hold or buy and pray. I might be butchering that, but essentially the thought is just wait long enough and hope that it's going to come up. And that's a matter of chance. You're risking the future of your financial stability on the prayer of the economy doing what you're expecting it to do. You're not taking an active role in its future, in your financial future. And options trading, according to the methodology that I am pursuing it, it's a matter of choice. I get to choose my destiny and what my outlook is on the future and on the markets and how I want to respond whenever things start to go the other way. So thought that was appropriate. Thought I'd leave that with you for the weekend. And take care. Enjoy your families if you have one. And if not, then enjoy your friends. And I will see you guys on Monday evening. Take care.